And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara Podcast. Here's Jeff.
Hello, everybody. It's Saturday night, and we have a busy night scheduled for you. I hope you're having a great weekend. If you're on the other side of the planet and you celebrate it, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. And for those of you on this side, I guess pre-happy St. Patrick's Day. We were downtown in San Antonio today having fun for the St. Patrick's Day River Parade, and they dyed the river green. And now we are here with you guys, ready to have a great show tonight. We have 3 guests, and Vicky is supposed to be here any minute, and Vicky's back with his own footage of UFOs. He saw he saw UFOs and took a video with his camera, and he wants to show that to us. And we've got 2 other guests tonight, Bushman and Amita Mcbride. So while we are waiting on that, I can give you some latest updates. I had a meeting with Dr. Courtney Brown on UFOs, on what's going on with the prison planet. It's a pretty shocking interview, and you might even find it a little triggering, but I'm planning on posting it tonight, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. Let me pull up my schedule here. I met today with Heather May, who I released a video with a few days ago, sometime this week, and people wanted an update, some more questions. So I asked her some more questions about her NDE, as well as we talked about her UFO activity after her NDE. So again, there is another person having UFO activity after NDEs. And then, like I said, I'm planning on releasing Dr. Brown's video tomorrow. And let's see what's coming up for the week. I've got 2 people down that I didn't write what the video is about. I've got someone on Wednesday with an NDE, on Friday with an NDE, and then I still have Thursday open to schedule somebody. And tentatively, I have scheduled the 2nd week of April. Paul Anthony Wallace is coming back with his next book. And I hope you guys remember him. He has a series of, I guess you'd call them Eden books or something. And he's got a new one coming out. And I think it'll be exciting to talk about. So that's what's going on lately. And now we've got Vicky here. So let's bring in Vicky, and let me make it okay for him to share his screen. All right, that's set up. And let's see what Vicky is up to. And let me pull back there's my notes. All right, and if you guys have any questions for Vicky, be sure to write them in the chat. Let me see. I don't know why my chat's not. There it is. And Flowering Brook 1, welcome to becoming a silver member, and thank you for that. Vicky, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Welcome back. We haven't seen you in a while. How have you been?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Great. So to let everybody know, if you're new to the podcast, Vicky claims that his DNA has been altered by I guess it was the Pleiadians or some ETs, the Greys, right?
Arcturians. It could be Arcturians, probably.
Arcturians?
Yeah.
All right. Now, are you on your computer right now?
No, I'm on my phone.
But you're able to share those UFO videos with your phone?
Yeah, I can. I can share it.
All right. Before you share them with us, what happened? Where were you when you shot these videos?
Yeah, I was in my New Year tour in Kolkata, in a place called Kolkata in India.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I happened to spot this alien crafts. Initially, no one was able to spot on that day. Only I and my mother could spot these crafts.
So nobody could see
And
them but you and your mother.
yeah, no, but everyone were busy shooting in their mobile phones, taking photographs. Nobody seemed to bother actually. So we actually spotted. We both of us spotted. That was very strange because only the two of us spotted and the two of us recorded.
Interesting that your mom saw them. Has she had any UFO or ET contact?
No, she didn't have any UFO contact. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe she
Could be.
doesn't remember.
But yeah, probably.
All right. So you saw these, you were out at night, and you just pulled your phone out and started taking video.
I did not have the time for the camera because I wanted to shot them before they vanish.
Yeah.
So I was quick to react and then I shot.
Since you and your mother were the only ones that were able to see them, do you think those are the ETs that have been manipulating your DNA?
I think so, probably, because the craft looked very strange. It looked disc shaped, and it seemed to have around 8 cockpits in it. And the way it was moving also was very abnormal than usual aircraft. It actually moved very quickly and swiftly without the normal procedure of takeoff and landing. It seemed to have 8 cockpit definitely, and more than 7 pilots probably.
Did you feel like you got some kind of message from them somehow to look up in the sky? Because what made you look up in the sky in the first place?
Actually, I felt a magnetic pull sort of sensation. Then I focused above. I started focusing above, and then there was a artificial light. It was not like the light which we can perceive from this temporal world. It was quite artificial, like cartoonish, I can say.
All right. How high do you think the ship was above you?
It was descending quickly below, and it was raising above quickly as well. It seemed to scan something. Yeah, they were scanning something. That much I am very much clear. Really? Even if I share the video, the audience might be able to realize that they were scanning something. They were scanning some kind of temperature, or maybe some kind of troposphere or ionosphere or something like that, related to the atmosphere, aerial atmosphere.
All right. Well, let's look at your video.
Yeah.
All right. So was that your mother with you?
Yeah, she was there with me.
Well, maybe your mother can come in and say hi.
Yeah, my mother is actually at ground floor. I don't know whether I have the. I don't know whether I have the option of sharing.
You
I
should
sent
be
you the
able
video.
to. You should be able to because
Mm.
people have done it before from their phones.
Oh, wait. I'll just see if I have, because my phone is showing some other options. That's the. But I have sent you the videos actually.
Yeah, but I can't do that and this at the same time.
Okay. I'll just see.
There we go. All right, we're almost
Yeah.
there. There's Tsar Nicholas. And for those that
Yeah.
were wondering, Tsar Nicholas was Vicky's father in a previous life. All right, cool. Here we go.
Yeah.
Where was that? Okay, here we go. Now this is that the Taj Mahal?
Yeah. Because in Kolkata, it's not a original Taj Mahal. It's model.
Models.
Yeah.
Let me move this mouse out of the way. All right, so tell us what's going on here.
It's actually the park where people are gathered, and
that's it.
Yeah, this is the staff.
Where did it go?
Yeah, it's actually, you can see that blinking.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah. Interesting. And you're sure that is a UFO? That's not a plane or a helicopter?
Yeah, because it was not visible to any. No one else even bothered to look up. Of course.
Was it making a sound?
No, absolutely no sound.
No sound at all. Wow.
No sound at all.
And it was moving quickly. Was it hard to follow with your phone?
No, it was actually standing. It seemed to stand still at certain areas, at certain altitudes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So did you say that was that the real Taj Mahal or a copy?
It was a copy actually.
Oh, okay, cool. There I am.
Yeah.
All right, let me see. I have a question for you from the audience.
Yeah.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one sister.
One sister?
Yeah.
Are you also involved in a romantic relationship with anybody?
I am actually involved in a romantic relationship with Tsar Nicholas itself, not with anybody.
Just Tsar Nicholas? But he would be your father, though. Well, I guess that was when another previous life.
But our relationship actually started in 1700s. That time I was supposed to marry him.
Right.
Which didn't happen actually due to my pregnancy phobia and other reasons. That did not happen. Later on, I took birth as a Russian boy after in the 1900s. After 1800, in the 1800s, I was with my mother.
Right.
Again, in 1900s, I took the third birth as his son.
So you're remaining dedicated to him.
Yeah.
Even though he's not here. Do you think he has reincarnated?
That I don't know. When, as far as I know, during the regression, after the second time, she actually regressed me. During that time, I came to know that he is still waiting in the spirit consciousness. And the one message he delivered was that after your death, you will get 147 fathers like me. If you die a natural death, provided without committing suicide, or provided you die a natural death, and you will be able to live this life successfully, you will be able to have 147 Tsar Nicholas like me. And I could not understand that message much clearly. What could be the meaning, intrinsic meaning? from this
that is weird.
temporal.
That is
Yeah.
a little bit weird.
And later on, I still persisted. I went on persisting the therapist to do further hypnosis. Then she refused to do at certain point because she wanted me to leave this life more than focus in my past life. Then she started avoiding me. Then I stopped contacting her.
All right. Now, while you were here, you mentioned earlier to me online that you would like to show us another yoga pose.
Yeah, yoga pose.
Would you like to do that now?
Yeah, I would like to do that.
All right. What is the pose called?
It is called Kaundanyasan.
Okay. What is
Kaundanyasan.
Kaundanyasan?
It is Kaundanyasan. It is one of the hand balancing poses.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you still trying to be a breatharian, by the way?
Yeah. Breatharianism is the only option for me, owing to my digestive disorders. That is the only option left for me.
Mm-hmm. All right. What chakra is this working on? Wow, that's amazing.
Are you able to see?
Yes, it looks amazing. You are very strong.
So this works on heart chakra.
Heart chakra?
And palm chakras as well.
Do you do it to each side? Do you do it to each side or just one side?
No, we have to do it each side because only then the yin and yang aspects gets balanced.
That's amazing.
The right side is yang and the left is yin.
Yeah, he is. You're very strong.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was fantastic. All right, Vicky. Well, listen, it was great. Do you want to do any dancing before we go?
Actually, I can do another yoga pose if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is this one called?
This is called Angushtasana.
That's amazing. You're super strong. What chakra is this working on?
It just strengthens the meridians. The meridians of the hands get strengthened.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Vicky, well, it was great seeing you again. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. I've got to run to my next guest, but I wish you the best and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye. And a big round of applause for Vicky. Oh, I guess he already left. All right, the next person here is Jen. And while we're waiting for Jen to come in, there was someone else who came a member. Martha Cassandra St. Clair, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. And I'm not covering myself here. All right, so next up is Jen Bushman. Let me bring up my notes on her. We're waiting for Jen to come in. And she's almost here. Now, Jen's been aware of her abilities. Hi, Jen. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. I know. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
So next up is Do you have you take the YouTube, if it's still playing it, and mute that.
Oh, is it on in the...
I think it's still on.
I thought I apologize,
That's
Jeff.
okay.
I thought
That's quite all right. It happens all the time.
Okay, are you still there?
I'm here. I'm probably
there we
behind
go.
a window.
There, I got you.
All
Okay.
right. Well,
Sorry about
that's
that.
okay. I was trying to tell everybody about you. Jen, you've been aware of your abilities since childhood. You've always felt very different from others. You've had some extraordinary experiences and more. So let's start with your spiritual journey. What has happened to you?
Well, it started when I was 5. I was backpacking with my parents on our first backpacking trip, and we were up on the coast of the Olympic Forest, up in Washington State, and I saw Bigfoot.
Wow.
I saw two juvenile Sasquatch.
Two of them
in the trees, and
you fully witnessed them clearly and everything.
Yeah, they
That's
were
amazing.
up playing in the trees, and I said to my dad, you didn't tell me there were monkeys here, and but it was interesting because I could see them, and they could not. The rest of my family, and we were with
Wow.
family friends, and then I got separated from the group. And I witnessed the mother, and the two juvenile. And yeah, and she telepathically told me to catch up to my family, go now. Because I wanted to play with the kids. I thought, it just seemed like it would be fun. So
Why
but
do you think,
I knew, sorry about that.
That's okay. Why do you think you had that ability and your family did not?
Well, I think it's indicative of like what I do now. I mean, I'm still aware of Sasquatch when I go out and hike. I feel the vibration behind me. When I meditate, when I do readings for people, I use Sasquatch to heal. And the outline will appear up here in my office. I knew I was different because that school year, because I was 5, so I started kindergarten, and I was taken with 6 other students, and we were tested because in the 70s, I was born in 66, so that would have been 71. Kids were tested to be in a psychic program for the government.
That's amazing.
And
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, and I didn't trust them. I did not trust this man with this black skinny tie asking me these questions, but they asked me, have you ever had anything happen that you can't explain? And it was like, I knew I was different then. I could feel in, trees and rocks and animals and know what they were thinking, and people. I know what folks are thinking, what's going to happen. So it just progressed.
It's interesting that you have these connections with Bigfoot or Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them. One of my recent guests can see people's guides, and she draws them. And she said one of my guides was Bigfoot, and she drew a picture of it for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever heard of that, of Bigfoot being a guide?
Yes, because Camus is my guide. Rosie is my healing guide. So when I had my son, fast forward, my son is 25. But I had a Sasquatch reading with Gail, the urban shaman, and she described Samuel's birth. I mean, and it was a pretty dicey time. He was born in Hawaii, and it was amazing that she told me about my experience giving birth to Sam, because it went on for like 3 days. But remember the twins I told you about, the Sasquatch, the juvenile Sasquatch? Right. They are my guides.
Wow.
Yes, they were there during Samuel's birth.
So do you think that the Sasquatch, or I guess we'll just call them Sasquatch, do you think that they are always here and only some people can see them, or are they kind of like phasing in and out of our realm?
Well, they're 15th dimension and on. So like the higher, the elder Sasquatch are the 25th dimension. Like Camus is an elder. And so Sasquatch is an interdimensional being. They are an alien, right? And they are here to watch over us. And yes, they apparate, they come in and out. Why is it that some people can see? Why is it that some show themselves to people? It's because they can read you. They read your heart. They know your thoughts. And so that is why it kind of depends on where somebody sits in their own interdimensional spectrum. is what Camus explained to me, why some folks can see and why some don't.
Do you think
sometimes?
Do you think that some people don't see them just because they're afraid to see them?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, some folks have fear around Sasquatch. They think they're, mean monsters of the forest or animals that are going to hurt them or eat them. You hear these stories. And that is not true.
Is it possible that you had some sort of NDE at childbirth, or something that you don't remember that gave you your abilities?
Well, I mean, I met my spirit guide Pink when I was 19 through an NDE, through a suicide attempt. He was there by the side of my bed. I call him Pink Carmen Gia, and there's a story behind
Carmen
that.
Gia. There's not many of us that know that car.
I had one when I was in high school, and so did my friend Kathy.
Really?
And so we used to work on our Gias and compare them, and so we finished high school. We were going to the community college and we would commute together. And I was going through a real depression. I was depressed pretty much from 15 years old on, and always kind of had this low grade. At times it would be pretty difficult. It was my childhood. It wasn't always so easy. And so we would commute to school together, and I would see this pink Carmen Gia, like this beautiful pinky purpley color. And I'd be like, oh my God, Kathy, did you see that? We'd go cruising through the stoplight or whatever. And I saw this car several times. And then I had the attempt, and I went down a tunnel and saw my grandma Leela and Chris Fagan, who he died of a brain tumor when he was 6. And as I approached them, the smile left my grandma's face, and she shook her head and said no. And I was like, what? I mean, I felt so good. I felt this love that I'd never felt, this acceptance, this belongingness, like I was a part of something that was just so beautiful and warm. And I was excited, like, yes. And it was like, no. And I was pulled back. And I was in my bed and looked up, and there was this man standing there, and very, very tall, had long hair with little glasses, but he was wearing a red and black checked flannel shirt, like over a tunicky kind of thing with jeans. And it was very unusual. And I was kind of like, but I was in and out because I had taken a bunch of pills. Right. And so I was in and out, and I was like, who are you? And he said, it was like he was trying to find his words. And he said, and I said, you're a volunteer firefighter? Because I lived in Gig Harbor in Washington State at the time, and it was very rural then, and we depended on volunteer services. And so I was kind of like, because I was in that real dozy, woozy place. And he said, yeah. And so then he said to me, it's not always going to be like this for you. Life is not going to be like this for you. And you have gifts. You have a special purpose here, but it's not always going to be like this. If you can get through this time, it will get better. And I was like, huh? I mean, it was just such a weird, because I was 19, And so then my boyfriend came home and saw and called 911. And I didn't equate that nobody had called 911, and this man, the volunteer firefighter, is standing next to my bed. Right. And so, so after I got home from the hospital, and I was walking up towards the road because we lived on Harborview Drive, and very close to the main drag there. And as I was walking, that pink Carmangia came by, and it was just like slow motion, and my jaw just dropped to the ground. And I was like, because it looked, Jeff, it was like all silvery and shimmery, and inside was pink. And he was waving like this, like, as he went by. And it was real slow. And I was like, and I never saw it again.
Wow.
But then I would see pink from time to time. Like when I would go through challenges, because I would struggle, and then I would see him. But it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I start to see him all the time, because my life changed. I met a psychiatric nurse practitioner who told me that I was not crazy, that these were not delusions that I was having, that he said, have you ever thought you were psychic? And he said, I know you are, because I am. So
is this guy your guide? Or
yes.
One of them?
Pink is one of them. And then I met Courtney, who's my ET guide, when I was 22. And they are here. So when I do readings for folks, they're here.
How do they communicate with you? Are you hearing them like clairaudient, or are they giving you symbols that you visualize, or what?
Right. So I see them and I hear them. And then at times I will see like a movie. I will see images. They will show me a movie, will pass like before my eyes. If I sometimes I read tarot. Tarot is a way for me to see that movie, and it will bring them in and I will hear them.
Not too long ago, I was laying in bed. It was early in the morning before getting up, and I was just kind of trying to meditate and just lay there and relax, and everything like, just weird images would come to my mind. And I thought, I wonder if this is what psychics see. Like all of a sudden you could be with somebody and it's almost like an image memory, something weird just kind of pops in your mind out of nowhere. And that's what's going on. And do you think, does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, very similar. Yeah. I mean, I believe, Jeff, that we all have this ability and that we can tap into it. I think a lot of us have experienced it or do experience it and don't realize what they are experiencing.
Is it happening to you all the time, or only when you kind of like tell them that okay, well, me and my team, we're doing a reading now, and then it'll happen?
Yes. I've learned to kind of close up shop. Before, it was very difficult. It was exhausting, and it was really emotional. And I was like absorbing all this energy. It's just like going out into the world and being a sponge. I would just absorb everybody, their experiences, their thoughts, feelings, emotions. But I've learned how to open up. It's like, as my friend Michelle says, opening up a flower when you are open for business, and then closing it back down. Because otherwise you're fragmented, you're exhausted, your soul, it feels split, and you can start to entertain fear. And that can manifest into kind of negative energy, essentially. Makes sense.
Have you ever heard of a satyr? Satyr, I think is what it's called. It's kind of like you see in Greek mythology.
I've heard of them.
It looks like maybe a being that's like half person, half goat or something like that, but with horns. Have you ever seen anything like that as a guide?
Yes.
That's also was what my guest drew of me as my guide was one of those as well.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Interesting. All right. So what other extraordinary experiences have you had?
Well, so Courtney, when I was 22, was my therapist.
Okay. And he was also a psychic.
She.
So she's a psychic and a psychologic nurse?
That was when I was 52.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
a lot of time passed between. So I went to college and then I moved up north and went to the university in Washington State and still dealing with depression, not as bad, but still, needing advice, counsel, help. And so it was getting pretty bad again. And I was waiting tables at this restaurant. And this woman and her friend had lunch and left me her card. And I just really bonded with her. Like, I loved her. I thought she was just awesome. So in Bellingham, where I went to school, is like the town, and then over off to the side is Fairhaven, and it's kind of where all the hippies hung out, and Tony's Coffee was. It was really cool, and the Fairhaven building was there. This really cool brick building that was very old, and you had to climb the stairs. And for some reason, I went in there, and something propelled me to go to the top floor and go to the back left corner. And I did. And I looked in the window and there was Courtney. And she opened the door and she was like, "Well, hello, you found me." And I was like, what? It was just a very surreal kind of pushing that got me there.
That's amazing.
And so she explained to me, well, I'm a therapist, but I'm not, registered with the state of Washington. And I was like, I didn't care. I just needed somebody to talk to, and I just loved her. And so I said, great. And so I would see her regularly for about 9 months. And it was a type of help that I'd never had before experienced, help that was in such a different way and starting to talk about energy and attraction and how emotions hold a certain resonance, a certain frequency. And so anyway, our time came to a close after 9 months. I was moving to Hawaii and she was going to go home. And I was like, oh, okay. And so the last 2 sessions that we had, she told me that she was a walk-in, that she was from Sirius B, that what my mission was, being a starseed, explained to me what walk-ins are. She explained a lot of what our relationship was about and for, but a lot of it was like brain wiped, and it only came back later because now she is my guide. But the thing that she told me back then was, if you ever need me, if you ever struggle, to close my eyes and see her eyes, because she had the biggest, bluest eyes I've ever seen. I've never seen a human with eyes like this. They were just like the ocean, and so full of love and just compassion and kindness and understanding. And so I would, when I would struggle with something and need an answer, I would close my eyes and see her eyes. So I went down to my brother's to say goodbye to everybody before I went to Hawaii. And so I had a Volvo then. I don't mean to talk about my cars, but I had a Volvo with a sunroof, and I was coming back up the mountain because you come up and then you go back down into Bellingham. And I looked up and it was like an upside down aircraft carrier. And I pulled over, and it was wild. It was a ship. It was huge, rose up and like collected these 5 little Tic Tacs and then just took off. And from then I had missing time for days. So I know that I traveled with her. I know that she took me, that a lot of things happened in my relationship and time with her.
What can you tell us about your ET guide? For example,
That's Courtney.
Oh, that is Courtney.
That is Courtney. That's who I'm talking about.
Oh, wow. I got that confused then.
Oh, I'm sorry. You thought
okay.
I was just talking about my therapist.
Yeah, I got confused with that.
Okay.
So where is Courtney from?
Sirius
Sirius B.
Yes.
That's amazing. So
when I see her now,
you saw her in physical real life.
Yes, because she was a walk-in.
Oh, a walk-in into somebody else's body.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting. I think you're the first person that I talked to that was with a walk-in in somebody else's body, because people have been guests that have claimed to be walk-ins, but not like talking to another human that's a walk-in.
Interesting.
Yeah. Are you still in contact with Courtney?
Yes. So now she's here and channels to me all the information I get about the dimensions when I do starseed readings for folks, where I see where they were born, what dimension they were born in, what it was that brought them back to here, to the third dimension, to this experience. So yes, when I see her now, she looks like a little Casper the Friendly Ghost. That's what the Syrians look like. Some of them. There are many different beings in these faraway places. So, but that's what she looks like with her huge blue eyes.
Let me ask you this. Are you up for the audience asking questions to your guides and getting answers?
Sure.
All right. So if anybody out there has a question, please put it in the chat. While we're waiting on questions, are we going to finally, if your guides can answer this, are we going to finally get full disclosure from the ETs anytime soon?
Yes.
When?
3 years.
In 3 years. So what are we? 2027.
Yes.
Wow. So I had a guest today that I recorded that she was saying the end of 2027 or the beginning of 2028. So
2027.
And people are saying 26, 27. So somewhere around that time.
September.
What's going to happen?
Well, the government is going to continue to release images and information. And then we're going to get whistleblowers and folks like Stephen Greer, who have relationships with folks who've done their own research. There's going to be more of that. But people like that will be working with the government. It will be to their advantage to for us to know. Before, it's been a way of controlling, shaping the narrative, controlling people, their reaction, right, to ETs, to this idea, to this whole other world.
So are you saying that the government is already aware that this is going to happen and they're slowly disseminating this information through whistleblowers and whatever else is movies or whatever?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Wow. And what will happen when they do show up? I mean, they're gonna just
descend
in mass and we'll all see them and then start helping out or
No, it'll be a slow introduction, but there will be a time where it will be very commonplace that we will see other species, other races on the planet that are far away folks.
Well, I think
because they're already here.
They're already here. Well, I had some people say they're here. Some people said that. Well, I have one guest that let me backtrack. Many times I say during the live stream, I wish I would just have an ET show up and be my guest on the show. And one of my guests said, "You've already had one. You just don't know about it."
I would agree with that.
Oh, let me see. Let me get to questions here. All right. Let me get through them. Someone wants to say, how would we know if we are from another planet?
how do we know if
That's
we
a
are?
question. Or maybe someone's chatting with somebody, and sometimes people are chatting with each other. So let me kind of scroll through. Do you think that anything's going to happen special with the solar eclipse coming up? That
Yes.
the ETs will be involved with?
Yes.
Like what?
This is going to be a little bit of contact. We're going to see a lot more. Folks are going to be reporting seeing craft, having experiences, things that they can't explain. Courtney has talked about this, that this is part of the introduction. There's some pretty significant energy that is going to happen with some pretty significant earthlings as well during that time. But there's an incredible change in the energy, in the collective vibration, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And, the universe is expanding at a much rapid rate than it has as a constant. And it's all part of our growth and our consciousness. But physically, yes, people will see more craft, and you definitely will between April 6th and April 10th.
Do you think
and Sasquatch is gathering as well? They're holding they hold consciousness kinds of retreats too. So
do you think anything is happening with time in general? Like some people claim that time is speeding up.
Yes. Courtney talks about that the universe is expanding. It was at what 135 meters per second, and now it's at 152 meters per second.
All right. Give me 1 second here. I'm trying to locate some more questions here. If somebody believes they are a star seed, how do they confirm that?
Well, there's like traits of a star seed. A true star seed versus a light worker. Star seeds kind of have always felt different on Earth. Maybe you feel like you don't belong. Maybe you have a real yearning to go home, a homesickness.
That's a good point.
Feel separate. And that life doesn't kind of kick in for you until later. And it's usually through some kind of human, very emotional event that gets you to this place where you learn of your starseed mission and you just know. Those are traits as a human that you will feel, and you feel like you just don't recognize this place, right? And some folks really feel that very significantly, and that's what I see when I work with star seeds.
All right. Well, there's another question here. Give me 1 second. They're coming. Some people believe that ETs are demons. If demons are real, how do you know the difference between an ET and a demon?
Well, I don't see demons as real.
Okay.
And that's a third dimensional projection that we have.
All right. Someone wants to know if you channel and help people find out who their guides are.
Yes, absolutely. I do spirit guide readings.
All right. Have you ever heard of an entity called Saurian from SAR?
No.
All right. Can the aliens tell us anything about nonverbal autistic children?
Yes, they are star seeds, and there are so many of them being born nowadays, and they have a specific mission. And I work with those kids to help them understand who they are. And I work with their parents to help them understand who they are. It's just kind of shifting the wheel a little bit of not being so rigid and stuck into what your preconceived notions are or ideas of how kids should be. And it's adjusting your perception to help them understand what a superhero they are. Because we need these kids. We need these beings on Earth to help humanity move forward.
All right. Someone says, we are related to the aliens. Has this experiment blended the species to evolve to I'm guessing a 6D race?
Well, the way I've been described and the way I've been shown and taught that it's a very different idea than that. We have to get away from the idea that we evolved from single cell organisms to fish to birds to monkeys. It doesn't happen that way. When a planetary system or a planet, a star, whatever it is that will sustain life, then beings are kind of prepared, made in a lab in order to suit that environment. And it's almost as if the being is built. Does that make sense? For that specific place. So when we are born, we plop out of the light. We live in many different dimensions at one time. So we move through the dimensions. When we hit the 15th, we all unite with our soul family. We become a collective consciousness and ascend to the sun. So beings are created. They are to suit the 6th dimension, to do the work of the 6th dimension. But as far as us melding, that's a different idea from what I've been taught, Jeff.
All right. What do you think is the most active part of this planet for ET activity?
Oh, well, Mount Shasta.
Mount Shasta
is one.
Yeah.
Here in New Mexico, where I live, it's all over the place.
Where are you in New Mexico?
I'm outside of Albuquerque in the mountains.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice. Yeah, Albuquerque is beautiful.
Yeah, and I watch craft all the time here in the mountains at night. Yeah, I have a portal outside my front door, and cool. Beings travel. I catch them on my phone, or excuse me, the doorbell camera.
Really?
Yeah.
When do you think, can you download that into your computer or your phone so you could show it to us?
Yeah, I've got quite, I'll
Maybe
have to find them.
Maybe you can come back and I'll let you share a screen and you could show that to us. That'd be amazing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, very much. And then the back out here is Sasquatch. It's this huge orb that lumbers and when they apparate.
All right, let me get in one last question here.
Okay.
Can you be a starseed and a light worker?
Yes. Yeah. Starseeds have a specific mission that will, and in humans it comes later. Light workers are born of the consciousness of the universe, like blue rays. And their whole job essentially is to hold unconditional love and spread light.
All right. Well, if people want to find out more about you and what you're doing, I believe you have a website, right?
Yes,
I think
sir.
I put it in the description. Yes, I did. JenBushman.com.
Yes.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do.
What is that
Jen
called?
Bushman.
Jen Bushman. All right. What kind of content are you posting there?
Oh, all kinds. I do meditations. I read on current events, throw tarot cards. I do readings for folks. I talk about the dimensions. I talk about soul contracts. really into that. Just all kinds of spiritual stuff. It's kind of a smorgasbord of all kinds of things. It's not a real focus.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you're working on that you want people to know about?
Well, come join the Woo Crew
The Woo
over on
Crew. I
my
like that
channel.
name.
We meet on Monday nights and Wednesday mornings.
On your
And
YouTube channel?
well, actually, it's a Zoom call.
Okay. So is
And
that something free for anybody to join?
actually, it's on my website. It's a monthly membership.
Okay.
It's $38.
And that's you have 2 Zoom calls a week.
Yes. For an hour, but they usually wind up being like 2 or 3 hours because we talk about aliens, we talk about soul contracts, we talk about, I mean, everything. We run the gamut from all kinds of spiritual topics. So
I recently spoke to a guest about breaking a contract. Do you think that's possible that you can break a contract?
well, the idea of soul contracts, the way I've been taught, is that it's the energy that is reflected back to us of that which we need to learn. So it's not like we have contracts with people. You know, I hear that, like I have this contract with my dad. Well, yes, in a way, but no, the contract is really with spirit. The contract is really with God or spirit or source, however you want to refer to it. And it's energy that's being reflected back to you. So it's a way to look at the relationships in your life in much more of to understand why you are here and what it is that you need to learn versus getting caught up in the emotion and that heady part of it. That's what helped me to understand my whole experience of being here, what it is about. And that's why we are here in the third dimension. It's that relationship between our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, how they are attached to frequency. And through frequency is how we rise, we ascend. We grow. We don't have to come back here and do it. If I hear people say that they don't want to do this again.
Yep. Well, many people say that. Well, Jen, listen, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us today. I really appreciate you. And
Thank you.
I thank you again. I have to run. I got the next guest, but I wish you massive success in whatever you're doing. All
right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And if you're able to download those videos off your door cam, contact me because we can have you back and I'll just screen share them and we can look at them.
Okay, sure. It'd be fun.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your weekend.
All right. You too. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye, everyone.
All right. A big round of applause for Jen. And I want to say, Caitlin Ingle, thank you very much for that super thanks. We really appreciate it. And it says, first live, yay, YouTube, yay, Jeff, haha, much love to you all. Well, thank you, and we love you too. And also, I think it was Antoinetta that gifted somebody a membership or something like that. It kind of scrolled through. If that was you or whoever that was, thank you so much for that. Well, now let's bring in Amita. I think that's how we pronounce her name. She's coming on. And Amita, let's see. Amita, can you hear me?
Yes,
All
I
right.
can hear you.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Wow, you have a very fascinating house. Look at that. It's beautiful.
It's a partial earth house.
What do you mean by that? An earth house?
The roof is a living roof. And so it's got grass and flowers and things like that. And part of the house is built into the earth, but most of it isn't.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's very unusual.
Where do you live at? I mean,
I live in.
I don't need your address, but I mean, are you in Arizona?
I'm in Montana.
Oh, in Montana. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So if we look at it from the outside, does your roof just look like a grassy hill, kind of like a hobbit house or something?
Yeah, when you drive in, the front of it has a lot of stone and beautiful craftsmanship, and it looks like it's just tucked in quite small. And the roof's alive with grass, as I said, and flowers. And when you drive around and you come in, it's got all these different levels. And I don't know if you can see, but behind me above this huge tree, there's a loft, and there's a whole tree that's the railing of the loft. And it's quite amazing with huge windows. And that's where I do my writing and my work.
That's amazing. Are you and your partner, spouse, husband, uh, build this house?
No, I moved here about a year and a half ago. I did it on my own, creating a healing center, and I've been working on it since I got here, and put in a yurt. It's almost complete, and
cool.
gardens and bees are coming and all that kind of thing. So
Wow.
it's a sanctuary, with everything that's happening in the world. I feel like we need more of this for people to come together and to heal and raise their consciousness and clear out their stuff and step into their authentic self and do what they're here to do in the world. So,
Well, I didn't formally introduce you, but from what I understood, you've either been struck by lightning or had lightning go through you 4 times,
I have.
and you've died and come back to life. So I don't know where to start. What do you suggest? How would take us on the journey of your life?
Well, I can take you on part of it. It's pretty extensive. Would you like me to start with my death experience?
Sure, that'll work.
Okay. I've never actually spoken about it. So this is a powerful moment for me. I wrote about it for the first time a little over a year ago, and it's in a book. I did it to help people transmute difficult things in their lives. So to share it out loud is a whole nother thing. And what happened was I lost my only child. And people hear that phrase, oh, they died of a broken heart. Well, that's literally what happened. What led up to that, besides losing him, is with the gifts that I have. I'm an empath and a seer, and I can channel and all kinds of things. I was born with these gifts. And so part of what led up to that was when my son had this moment where he realized he wasn't here. He was very frightened, and I could see him. And I saw this. Again, this is amazing. I've never spoken about this out loud. It was very, very challenging, and also a huge blessing for me as his mother to be able to help him. But what happens is when people die suddenly, they don't always cross over right away. And they don't want to go, and they're confused, and they're trying to get back. And so what I saw was that he was in this room with all these windows around him, yet he was in the universe. So he had lifted up enough that he was out of this plane, and all the windows were reflecting all different stages in his life. And he was very, very confused. And I was able to see him and talk to him, and he was trying to get back to me. And I said, you can't come back. And I could see that the light was getting dimmer. And it doesn't mean that you can't get there even at a later point, because I've worked with many who missed their initial opportunity. But I had to actually take him and throw him into the light. And that anguish of losing my child, and also having to literally propel him, his soul, into the light to go home, absolutely unhinged me, and my heart stopped of its own accord. And I left my body, and I was living in a home in Colorado with extremely high ceilings. So as I got up to the ceiling, I was so grateful. I was so grateful that I was going home, because I was so devastated. And I could see my body on the bed, and I was about to go through the roof and head home. And the best way I can explain it is it was as though all of the particles of the quantum field became very, very thick, kind of like cake batter, or those toys we had when we were young, like with the magnets where you could push your hands into them or your face and make shapes. And I couldn't see the hands, but I could feel the hands and pushing against my chest. And I heard and felt and experienced it. It was extraordinary. It wasn't from this world. It was source. And I heard this reverberating no, and it started to push me back towards my body. And I begged, I pleaded, I fought, I panicked. So I got closer to my body. I was hysterical because I knew that coming back into dense matter with what I had just walked through was going to be even more intense initially, having had those moments of freedom. And I was pushed back into my body, and my heart started again, and I started gasping for air, and it was so overwhelming that all I remember is that I was just frantically screaming over and over, and I just lost consciousness for a period of time, and it was profound. And when I woke up, I could hear my son. And for a period of time, he kept repeating this one phrase over and over. Camino October, mama, please. Camino October, mama, please. Over and over and over. And for 7 years, I knew I was going to walk the Camino de Santiago in France and Spain, but I never knew it would be for something like this. I thought I would just walk it as a spiritual pilgrimage. And I don't even know how I packed a bag. I don't know how I did it. I don't even remember how I got myself to France, but I did. And my plan was not to come back. I was so fractured. I was so completely devastated from loss of my child that I started walking, and I went into the winter, and it was very intense, and walked over the Pyrenees and into Spain and all across northern Spain. And I went past Santiago to Finisterre, which translates to the end of the earth. And as I did so, when you were walking for 3 months, there were a lot of times I couldn't hear or see my son because grief blocks your connection. When I had lived a whole life being able to help others with those who had crossed over and see their loved ones. And then here I was devastated that I couldn't hear or see my son until I was walking and walking for a period of time. And then I could hear him and I could see him, and he would walk next to me, and we had extraordinary conversations about what he was going through in his soul review and what was taking place. And it was incredible. He would tell me things that were going to happen, where I should stay in villages, and everything would just happen exactly. So I guess I could add an example here because it flows in to the other questions. I reached a village, and it was a very small village in northern Spain, and nobody spoke English, and I understand Spanish and a lot of French. And this woman looked at me and said in Spanish, "My God, what's happened to you?" And I just started crying and crying, and she helped me take my backpack off, and she started to take me to their little church. We hadn't even spoken, and she stopped and she looked up at the sky, and she started crying, and she said in Spanish, su hijo es muerte. Your son is passed, is dead. And I looked at her, and then she said his name, and she said, Sam. No, Sammy. And she said, my God, he loves you so much. His soul is in so much anguish with the agony that you're in, and he never meant to cause you any pain, and he misses you so much, and he's right here with you, and he's been trying to reach you, but the pain has been so great that he hasn't been able to get through. So that to me is a very good example of not only talking about a near-death experience, but also showing that your loved ones, the connections that we have, that depending on how old of a soul they are and how strong the connection is, and their ability to quickly learn how to manipulate, let's just say, this realm. It takes practice, just like it takes us practice to be able to reach those on the other side. It's a muscle and that you have to practice. He was frantically trying to reach me to give me comfort. And so there's a lot more to it, but I hope that gives enough with that part of the story to lead into the rest of the questions.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience with us. It's fascinating to think about that our loved ones on the other side are trying to assist us with our suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. They can see everything. It's I've had a lot of people ask me, well, why can some loved ones reach people and others can't? Right? And it's tied to the evolution of the soul. And what I mean by that is how many times you've incarnated, and how much practice you have. It's also based on if you're from the same soul group and how closely connected you are. So my son and I are twin flames. We're very, very, very connected. So we've been together many times.
Now, when you say, sorry to interrupt you, but when you say twin flames, is it more than just being a soul group family? I mean, are you saying you are two of the same being, or you're both beings from one higher self split into two incarnations?
It's very, very close to that. We are so deeply connected that the way that we are aligned puts us in a unity, let's just say it that way, that one of the reasons I was able to continue on and heal and find my way forward is because I can hear and see him. And because he's talked to me at length saying that he couldn't have stayed and done the work that needs to be done, but I could, and he can assist me so much more from there. And so we were working together, and what I'm creating and the things that I'm being shown, like this healing center, bringing people together, working with people individually, helping people clear that third dimensional gunk, all that stuff. That's why there's so much going on in the world right now. It's not for suffering, it's to clear all that low vibrational stuff so that people can be lighter and step into the fourth dimension, this new earth, everything that's transpiring right now. And he is a very, very important and powerful aspect of that. He's a very old soul. And so the messages that he brings are extraordinary. Here's an example. A couple of months ago, I looked at him and I said, I've come here to start a whole new life. I've come to this beautiful place. I'm creating this vision that I've been shown, and I can't just hold it alone, and I know that I won't be, but I need you to hear that. And I walked outside, and out of nowhere, 22 robins just appeared and started flying all around me, everywhere, on the roof, all around. And robins are usually individual. They're not really flock birds. And I walked inside and I looked up the meaning of robin, and in capital letters, it said, "A direct message from the angels telling you that you are not alone."
If you don't mind, let's move on to your
Sure.
lightning strikes. And did
Sure.
you have an NDE from any of those?
No, but the one that was most intense was I have a lot of lucid dreams, and so I was directed to go to Costa Rica. And I went to the Osa Peninsula, and on the Osa Peninsula in the ocean, there's a little island, and that's where a lot of the shamanic medicine people are buried. And I went on my own. I left my son with his father. And so I was out in a kayak on the ocean with this young man and was looking at sea turtles and just having a beautiful time. And out of nowhere, I was told, it was witnessed. So I was told that it was about 7 bolts of lightning just converged out of who knows where and went through the top of my head. They all came together and went through the top of my head, and I was in a metal kayak on the water. And all of a sudden the weather just changed. It was like flipping a switch. It was the most bizarre thing you can imagine. And all of a sudden there was a storm, and it was all I could do to get to shore. And at least I was still conscious, so I could get to shore. And he helped to get me back to the little place where I was staying that his uncle ran. And my head and my body was vibrating so intensely. It was all I could do to walk. And I got into my little room and I lost consciousness for over 7 hours. And I left my body. So maybe my heart did stop. I honestly don't know. But I can tell you that I was gone for a very, very long time. And I was receiving all kinds of information and downloads. And I was having a powerful upgrade. And when I came back into my body, I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what time it was. I didn't know what day it was. And it went on.
Did you have any effects from that, like afterwards?
Yes, from all of them. The first 2 times actually happened in the same day. The very first 2 times I was doing research in Arizona, and I was on top of a volcanic mountain when a very severe storm hit, and lightning hit directly in front of me and literally ripped the ground from 5 feet in front of me and came right up through my body. And it caused, every time it caused severe pain in my body. I could feel my cellular magnetic alignment completely changed. My teeth hurt. Colors were so bright, it was almost blinding. I couldn't handle noise. Everything was so loud. I had to take a lot of Epsom salt baths. I spoke to a native medicine man, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. And they kept telling me to take Epsom salt baths and try to center and calm. The first couple of times when I had lightning go through me, whenever I would be out hiking, I could feel all the electricity. I could feel where storms were, even if they were 50 miles away. And it was like I would draw it to me. And it was really, really frightening to be in that circumstance. But once the 4th time happened, it was like a complete circular closure. I came back into alignment. And a Navajo Nation medicine man actually approached me and said, you've been blessed by the thunder beings. You've had lightning go through you 4 times. I hadn't said anything, and he could see it and talked to me about it and my path, and that it wasn't for punishment, that it was tied to what I was here to do. And if I could survive my journey, which he said would feel very difficult at times, he said coming out the other side, my own evolution and how I could help other people would be very profound, and to understand that I was chosen for this, as we are all chosen for with our gifts. We're all chosen for our path, but this is what I was chosen for, tied with the gifts I was born with. And if I could just make sure that when I would start to fall, that I could see that it was not a punishment. It was not meant to cause suffering, but it was, he said, like the universe, like I was a sword being shaped over and over and over, and refined and refined and refined. So like that.
Are you okay with taking questions from the audience?
Sure.
All right. While we're waiting on that, have you ever thought to yourself why you didn't get physically injured, from these lightning strikes? Like, how did you get so lucky that you didn't get burned or anything like that?
I guess that didn't really occur to me because it was so intense. The effects from what I went through lasted for a long time. And because I've walked through so many extraordinary experiences, I've worked in Central and South America. I've worked with elders. I've seen portals. I've experienced portals. I've had so many extraordinary experiences that I was doing my best to handle the effects of the lightning. So it didn't hit me really till later that, why did I survive this? And the Navajo Nation medicine man, as I said, really explained why that hadn't happened. He said it was really a gift. It was up leveling you. And that's why you weren't burned. That's why this didn't happen and that didn't happen as it would maybe for someone else. He said it wasn't meant to harm you in that way, yet it was a profound rewiring, if you will. So
you mentioned your purpose earlier. What is your purpose now, or what have you discovered your purpose to be?
Well, it's taken me quite some time since losing my son. Even when I walked the Camino, I had people contacting me, asking me if I would work with them. And I said, I actually can't. I need to take this time to be with me. So for half my life, I did healing work, medical intuitive work, working with the quantum field, helping people heal from very, very serious things because I could see what was going on. And I've been studying Amazon plants for 27 years and with the gifts that come through me. And so I don't know if I could fully tell you my purpose, except that the writing that I'm doing and the offers that are coming in for my writing, I know are to help people not give up, feel inspired, know that we can transmute anything, that nothing that happens here is linear, that it's not about punishment. This is school. This is our soul's evolution. And we have to remember that every other being here is walking through the same thing. And so then we all come together and we're all mushed together and we're all either following our paths or we're getting off our paths or we're freaking out or we're centered, you know, and having every experience there is. So when you bring all of us together like that, we can get kind of confused for a little while as to what our purpose is. And for a period of time, I stepped away from everything because I lost my faith with the universe. I was so devastated because I had always served and answered everything that had been asked of me. And so now I've been coming back and was brought to this amazing place. It was negotiated for me. I feel I'm the caretaker here. The way I feel the earth, the way I feel animals, the way I feel earth and spirit. The Quechua elder in Bolivia on Lake Titicaca told me that one of my medicine names was the fourth jaguar. He said, you're a bridge between worlds. Everything you've been going through is to help people walk here grounded, but open to the source that they are and being able to live from both places, because that's what we're here to do, to step into higher and higher consciousness here. So I don't know if that answers the question, but.
All right, let me go backtrack here to my notes because I have the first question. Was there anything astrologically significant going on all those types that you were hit by lightning?
You know, it's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I can tell you, since you brought that up, that I did have a reading done a few years after my son, just because I was curious what it would say. And I had my numerology done when he was little. And in my numerology, I was told that they had never seen a chart quite like that. They said, your chart's all full of master numbers. They said, you are a master number. You're here to master things that, but for many would be considered impossible to do. And they said, that's why your journey's been so challenging. And when I had that other reading, the astrology reading, I hadn't said anything. And she said, did something happen around this time period? And I said, yes. And she said, there is a phenomenal alignment with the planets, and it shows a literal rift that took place. And it was literally when my son left. And it floored me because it helped, even though it also hurt, because it showed me what I already knew. And what he had told me was that it was written. So for that to literally be etched, let's just say it that way, in the history of the universe, and for her not to know anything about it and literally talk about the month and the time that it happened and said, oh my God, something happened that literally fractured you. She was like, there was a rift. It was so great. And she could see, she said, the connection between you and your son is just phenomenal. So I'm hoping that this also helps people to realize that as horrible as some things are, everything does happen for a reason. We have soul agreements and we have other agreements, and there's a lot going on, and we're all connected, and it's all intertwined, and there's so much. It's a web. It's a huge web. So
here's the next one. So what would you attribute to you healing your grief?
Oh, many things. I would say being able to see and hear my son. That's a huge one. Being able to connect with him. Taking the time that I needed to step away from society and to honor myself in that way. I couldn't be around families. I couldn't hear children laughing. I couldn't be around that, and to honor that and give that to myself and take the time to grieve and walk those 600 miles. That was a big one. I did that. That was a silent pilgrimage. And that was very, very profound. Obviously, I came back because there was no way the universe or my son or any of my other guides was going to let me stay there and not come back. So that combined with really going into what was going on and why did this happen, and looking at all my emotional pieces and one by one laying them on the table and saying, well, wait a minute, and what was his path and what took place here, and how is this connected to me, and if I don't go forward. One of the things he would tell me was, if you give up, mama, then we've both lost. And he's like, that's not the path. This was an agreement, and I couldn't have done it, and that's why you agreed to do it, and I was to do it from here, because part of our agreement is to show people that there is no death. We just change form, and that the connection between all of those on the other side and all of the other beings and who we are here, we're all connected and everyone's working together, and there's a purpose behind it. It's just that our humanness, if you'll put it, I'll put it that way, our humanness, our hearts struggle with that. And so as I continue to step back into alignment with who I really am and what I know to be true, and giving myself again the time that I needed, and slowly stepping forward, and the doors that were opening, and giving myself the grieving time. A lot of people don't give themselves the time that is required, or they try to busy themselves and they don't want to think about it. They don't want to feel it. And that's a very dangerous thing to do, because that's where illness comes from. Because something that big, you have to be with, and you have to love into it. It's not about trying to change it. It's about loving where you are and honoring that, and honoring your body, and honoring your being, and honoring your soul, and honoring the grief and the pain, and understanding that it might take time before all the pieces of the mosaic really show themselves and come together. And
well, earlier we mentioned that your house is going to be some sort of healing center or something.
yes.
What are you doing with that? Are you like having people come out and spend a few days, or what's
Well,
going on
not
with
yet.
that?
Not yet. She's still under some construction. The yurt's almost complete. I have the bees, my beautiful bees, coming in May, and the gardens will be here. And I'm going to be shown how that's going to work. There's a local healing center here as well. That's just wonderful, wonderful people. I used to have a Mayan healing cafe. And so I work with sacred cacao, and I was working with cacao 25 years ago, before people really knew what it was. And really sourcing all of my ingredients from the rainforests and small communities and things like that. And so I've been asked to do cacao ceremonies and community ceremonies in that way. So there's going to be a connection with the local healing center, and they want to bring people out and do some events here as well. And that's what the year is for. I want to bring two people together, and I want to hold space for healing work and classes, and for people to be able to come and get quiet and get clear with the direction they want to take. And so I'm feeling that there's going to be a number of different people that want to come out to the land and work together.
I know you're in Montana. Are you on a res out there? Because there's a lot of them there, I believe.
No, I'm outside Missoula. My place is in a beautiful canyon. So the little road dead ends at my place. There are hiking trails right off the driveway. It's close to town, yet you feel that you're in your own country. So it's a pretty remarkable place. It took me some time to really heal and clear the land. There was a lot of pain on the land, so I've been doing that, and I bless the land and the space every couple of days. I do a lot with Palo Santo. I do a lot with sacred plants. As I mentioned, I've been studying Amazon plants for 27 years, so I do a lot with.
Have you done a lot of work with ayahuasca?
No, I am so sensitive. I did take a boat outside Peru into the Amazon, and I worked with the Shipibo, and I was with elders in the rainforest. It was pretty extraordinary. And I had been guided very, very strongly not to take ayahuasca, just to hold the different parts of her and put her under my pillow. And I did so, and portals were opening, and I was having extraordinary experiences. And she spoke to me and she said, "Do not ingest me, you're too sensitive." Once I got into the rainforest with the elders, they wanted to hold a ceremony, and I was remote, and I didn't listen. And they suggested I just have one small sip. And it was so extraordinary and also so dangerous. It took them a couple of days to bring me out. I was seeing all 12 dimensions of everything. It was, let me put it this way. It is never prudent to not listen to your intuition. And so because I'm so sensitive and I hear and I feel so well, it's not good for me to take plants of that caliber because they're too strong. I really only need to touch them, but to ingest them is too intense for my body. Now, I will say I did work with one time San Pedro in Puno, Peru on Lake Titicaca. And that was very, very gentle and beautiful. And the experiences that I had and what I was shown and what I saw was very up-leveling. And I had permission to do that, but that's the only thing I've ever done in that regard.
I'm just curious, have you ever had any experience with UFOs or ETs?
Yes, I have. And this will be the first time I speak about that. When I was younger, maybe about 10, I was with my sister and an individual that was babysitting us. And we were actually walking by the tennis courts of the country club in the area. It was a warm summer day, and we found a little kitten. So my sister was holding this kitten, and all of a sudden, this craft, it had to have been almost the size of a football field, and it was still light out. It was so shocking. I'm getting chills talking about it because I've never shared it like this in such a public way. And it was just a few feet above our heads, and it was so massive and so loud, and it was making this reverberating, woof, woof, woof. And I thought for sure, that's it. They're taking us, we're gone. We were speechless. It was so unbelievable that none of us spoke about it ever again. And since that time, I have seen beings. I've had them come to me. And for a very, very long time, I was very scared of extraterrestrials. I wouldn't talk about it, even though I didn't have any experience that was scary. And I think it's because they would come to me. I don't know what type of being it was, but it was very, very tall with long arms and legs, with a kind of an oblong face, and it was very gentle. It was very peaceful, and it brought this orb, and it had me touch the orb, and it was showing me the best way I can explain it, and I can't remember a lot of it consciously, but it was showing me just the universe, the incredible weaving of everything together. And it was downloading this information with such peace and such kindness and such love. So clearly they were here to assist and to help. And actually, just last summer here at this house, I witnessed something that was so extraordinary, and it was witnessed by somebody else that was here with me out on my roof, my flat roof, right off my deck. We were sitting outside, and all of a sudden we looked up, and there was no mistake. We literally saw the sky open, a portal, and it lasted for about 20 minutes. And we counted about 120 ships. I've never seen anything like this in my life, that came out, and they were an exact line, like they were linked magnetically almost. And they went across the sky. It was like an armada. And the feeling I got was they were going to war. It was shocking. And there were so many of them. I wish I had had my camera so I could have gotten a video. They were huge.
What did they look like?
They were triangular. They were high up. But the reason we knew they were so large was because they were so high up, and yet we could see each one with the lights, triangular shape. And to watch the sky open and see that many come out in a line and go across the sky, and they went across to the other side, and then we literally saw the sky open up again, and they went through. So it was almost like a wormhole or a portal, same kind of thing. But it was one of the most extraordinary things I've ever witnessed.
Now, were those could you hear those ships like the one that you heard earlier?
No, because the one that I heard was directly above my head. This was high up in the sky, and that's how we knew the ships were huge, because the fact that we could see lights on them and we could see how many there were, the sense that I had in my body, the vibrations, the feeling was, I could feel they were afraid. And I was like, why are they scared? And I kept getting the sense was they were going to war. They were going to war. It was an armada. I kept hearing it's an armada. It's armada. I'm getting chills now, just as I say it. And there were so many of them. We literally sat there looking at each other going, are you seeing this? Yeah, I'm seeing this. And I don't take drugs. You know, I wasn't drinking anything. I was just sitting out on my deck, and it was a gift, and also quite mind-blowing to witness something like that.
That's amazing. Let me catch back up with some of these questions, because I've been going by and I haven't been keeping up. Have you always been sensitive before your grief?
Oh yeah, since the age of 2, I was born with the gifts that I have. So from the age of 2, I was seeing angels. I could feel and know things. I thought everybody was like that. I see things in pictures. My angels and guides will write things in front of me. It used to be that I would touch somebody and I could see everything that was going on in their lives. I would know things that were happening that they needed to be told. Like in college, running into a guy, my shoulder, and all of a sudden seeing that his brother had been in a tragic car accident. Didn't know the guy. And I said, you need to call home. Your brother's been in an accident. Well, that doesn't go over very well when you're a college student. People are scared of you, but they're also drawn to you. When I was young like that, I would say things like, that house is going to burn down in 2 days, and it would burn down in 2 days. So I also didn't really understand what was going on. I lived in a house where these presences, these poltergeists would be there. And it was literally like the sixth sense. My closet door would open and close. My radio would turn on. The dial would spin. I had a hanging chair in my bedroom. It would start to rock. I was terrified. My cat and my dog would get on top of me and growl. And it wasn't until I was older, a little bit older in that house, that I realized that this was someone that was really hurting. And they were coming to me because they wanted help, but they were terrifying me. And I didn't know how to do that. So what I'm getting at is it took me a long time, because I didn't have a teacher, to realize that I had control over this. I could say yes, no. Even when my son, all the way up through the age of 8, when I was married, I used to have people that had passed, but they needed help getting into the light. Sometimes I was woken up 4 times a night by different beings, children, adults, people that wanted my help. to cross over. And then my ex-husband started seeing them, because when you're in the vicinity of someone that's gifted like that, it opens your auric field and your ability to see. And it took me a very long time to realize that I could say it's too much. You know, I need it to slow down a little bit. I need to get off the train. I need to slow it down. And it's been like that my whole life. But it took a long time, because my gifts were in so many different areas that they ruled me. And it was pretty overwhelming. So the first time I tried to shut down all my energy centers, and then I just got really sick. I was like, okay, that's not the way to do it. And then as I studied with the Lakota, my Lakota elder started helping me a little bit with how to do this. And it had never occurred to me to say, hey, can you slow it down? Can this not happen like this? So.
How did you know your healing center was your calling?
I don't know if it's my calling. I would say it's part of what I'm here to do. Before my son, I used to speak and, at healing conferences, and I've spoken at the Pioneers, and I'm a writer, and I always have to have my hands in several pots. So I wouldn't say it's my calling. I would say that I was brought here for this reason, to bring people together, to help people, for people to see that everyone is a gift, that we're all in a circle, we're all on the same level. Nobody's above anybody else. It's for all of us to work together and to open into the highest versions of ourselves, and to clear out all the gunk. And sometimes that's not fun, but it's actually a huge gift. It's a blessing. And so I would say that's part of my purpose. But healing work and visionary work and the empathic channeling and my writing and working with the sacred cacao and those Mayan pieces. I had a lucid dream with a couple of different elders many years ago, calling me to Peru. And I listened and I went. And I was shocked when I saw the first elder. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the man from my dream. He walked right up to me and said in my ear, you listened to the dream, you paid attention, and literally told me the dream. And I'd never seen this man in my life. But he had intentionally called me there and talked to me about my work and talked to me about what I'm here to do. And he said, you keep not stepping into what you're here to do. You hold back. You keep yourself over here. And that's not actually honoring the divine. You're here to honor what you've been brought here to do. And it changed my perspective. And it was powerful. I worked on him, he worked on me. So I would say that there are several pieces, the cogs in the wheel of what I'm here to do, that call me very strongly. And I've worked on the ley lines of the earth. Mother Earth is a very, very big part of my calling. So working with the earth, all beings, the animals, the rainforests, the trees, everything. I think sometimes all of us can get a little bit caught up in what we have going on and forget that there's a whole world where, we have to take care of. We're here to constantly remember that without her, we're not here. We don't exist. So.
All right. Do you know anything about the people who have RHO negative blood type and ET encounters?
I don't. I'm getting chills with the question. And what's coming in for me to share is I have AB negative. So I'm one of the rarest blood types there is. I'm not getting any information on that. So I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
All right, here's the next question. Someone wants to know, how do you make your living? Is it by being a writer?
Yes, I'm a writer. I'm a glass blower. I actually just got back from the studio about an hour and a half ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you are. Do you have any glass that are around you that you could show us?
Yeah, sure. I'll get you a couple pieces.
Do you have
Yeah,
do you sell your glass art out of a gallery or something?
I do. Here's a
Oh,
beautiful
it's
vase.
beautiful.
Yeah. Um, Here's a beautiful vase.
Yeah, that's beautiful too. That's amazing.
Thank you. I make all kinds of things, and this is a special technique. I make all kinds of things.
How long have you been doing that?
I've worked at 3 different studios. I took a break after my son. It's a passion. I didn't go to school for it. My great-great-grandfather was a famous glassblower, and my middle name is after him.
Hmm.
And so I think it's in my blood, and I love it. I love working with fire. I love watching the transmutation of taking, elements and then creating something completely different from those elements. I also earned my living for half my life from doing healing work and working with people. And I took that break after my son, and I've been stepping back into that. And this local healing center has also invited me to be a practitioner there part-time because I'm doing my writing and I'm doing my glass blowing, and I want to do my healing work. And I would like to, it keeps coming in to teach. There's a lot that I feel that I could offer from blazing the path that I've walked, so other people don't have to do that, and they can take that knowledge and align in the parts of themselves that they've been struggling with, or maybe not sure where to take the first steps, or been afraid to do so, or unsure of how it will bring them forward, let's say, into the higher versions of themselves, that kind of thing.
Do you create any artwork with glass that would resemble something spiritual or something from the other side or ET related?
That's funny that you said that. One of the things that I would like to do, now that I'm in a beautiful studio that I work at, is I had this dream to create these beautiful, beautiful orbs that look like the earth, if you will, but also look a lot like that orb that I told you that the extraterrestrial showed me. And to have them be open in the top, and because I work with Amazon plants and healing plants and all of that, to then put combinations of healing teas and different things as a way to offer that to people, in this beautiful, beautiful creation that has these healing plants, and to bring forward into their homes, and the high vibration energy of it. And especially with, intention is everything. Your intention, your thoughts, yeah. So
if people want to find out more about your books, do they just search you out on Amazon or go to a website or what?
They could do that. I have a website as well. Would you like me to give that to you?
Sure.
It's www.rideswithfire.com. That's my Lakota medicine name. I didn't ask for medicine name. My elder said that she was in the sweat lodge, and she said that it came through that there was a name for me, and I was astounded. And so I didn't want to be disrespectful to source. And she said what she was shown was, and this is very personal, but very special. And that's why I named my website and my work after it. She said that she saw me riding bareback. I had horses for a lot of my life, and I've ridden horses a lot of my life. And she said she saw me riding bareback on a horse, holding his mane, and we started going faster and faster and faster. And she said there were thousands of horses behind, of every color and every breed. And she said we were going so fast that flames started to come off the hoofs of the horse and the mane. And she said I molded into the horse and became the horse. And she said the directions that I turned, all these other horses turned and followed. And this was many years ago when my son was about 5, and he would be 29 now. And she said, and I'm only sharing what she said, this has nothing to do with, I'm not used to talking about myself. She said, you're a teacher, you're a leader of the people, and it's a very big coat to wear. And it will come later in your life once you've walked through some other very big learnings. And she said, and it's very, very important that you share that you realize that what you've walked through, there's a great reason for it. And transmuting pain and helping people understand why we go through those things, and helping people elevate themselves. And my work, I call is really about reconnecting with the path of the heart. So the focus, if you said my calling, it would be the path of the heart. And being grounded and open, and having source move through your channel of your being, and being in your heart. And from there, you are centered, and you know what you're here to do, and why you're here, and who you are. And there's no question. So.
Well, after watching this podcast, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
Yes, sure. I'm open to people asking questions. I would be honored to help any way I can. And my books are also on Amazon. One of the series that I'm just submitted a piece today, actually. A Journey of Riches is an Australian publisher, created this series of books, and it's really quite remarkable. And I was in one of his books about 1.5 years ago, and I'm in his new book that's coming out called Elevate Your Life. The reason I mention it is he is someone that walks with great integrity, high vibration, and all the proceeds go to help those in need in Bali, orphans, farmers that don't have enough to eat, the elderly. And this gives me chills. And this is why I was so honored to work with him, because it's, again, about all of us helping one another, coming together and working together. And so that being said, that's my real calling, is my healing work, and helping people and connecting, and what I hear and see in my writing and teaching, and those aspects. So that will all be part of this space here. But I also have spent half my life doing that individually. And
well, if people want to contact you, can they do it on your website, or should
yes, they can do it on my website. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Well, you were amazing. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us this evening. We really appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. And I wish you massive success with your healing center, with your books, your artwork, and whatever you're into.
Thank you so much. You've been so kind, and I really appreciate your time. And thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, and have a great rest of your evening.
You too. Good night.
Good night. And a big round of applause for Amita. That was great. And I need to catch up with a couple things here, so let me do that. And where's Mika? She's looking good today. We'll see. We'll have Mika hang out with me. And she's all dolled up for you guys today. She's got a bow on and everything. Here she is. Let me see if I can put her on this side. All right, Mika. Oh. I'm losing all my wires here. There we go. Let me turn that down. All right, so I need to say some thanks before I go. So Stephanie Wilson, thank you so much for that super thanks. And she says, thank you for finding interesting people and allowing them to speak their truth. Well, I appreciate that. Bruce from, Antoinetta DiMano, thank you very much for that. Super thanks. And Bruce from New York. Hey, Jeff, your show is great. Thank you. And thank you, Bruce, for that. Super thanks. We really appreciate that. And there was someone else, a couple new members that I think came by. So thank you for being a member. Who was that? Bruce from New York. Thank you for becoming a silver. And I might have another one here. Do we have anything else that's going on? We'll try our best to keep up with all these announcements. And so again, tomorrow night's oh yeah, we bring Mika back up here. Tomorrow night's guest is Dr. Courtney Brown. And one thing that I love that he said is, well, I don't know if you guys are going to love this, but I found it fascinating is, we talked about ETs, about the Earth being a prison planet. We talked about that the bad ETs are running the place and the good ETs are trying to get in and help us. And for the good ETs, he basically said that we are like zombies here because we don't remember that we're eternal beings. We don't remember where we come from. We don't remember anything. So that makes a lot of sense. And he says it's a dangerous place for the good ETs to come because you know how we are. We are, we're not the most peaceful planet. I'm sure you guys understand that. So we talked about that, and gosh, we talked about quite a bit of stuff. So I hope you guys really enjoy that one tomorrow. And then again, I recorded with Heather May today, and Heather was on, I released that video a few days ago, and we talked a little bit more about her NDE as well as her ET contact, both before and after her NDE. So that's another video that I'm planning on coming up with. By the way, in the description below, there's a link to my Facebook page. You're welcome to like that. There's a link to my personal Facebook page. You feel free to add me as a friend. And you'll note that my last name is Reynolds. Mara is my beloved wife. So she's the other half of the podcast. She's a very important unseen part generally because she does the editing. What else is there? There's links to our other channels. There's like our cooking channel, and there is our music channel and our merch store and other stuff that's going on. So I kind of pull this back to see what's going on there. So anyways, I think we have some exciting podcasts for you guys coming up, as well as we have some more NDEs. And I hope you guys will enjoy those. As far as that goes, I think that's it. Yes? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. We really appreciate you, and we will see you back next Saturday. And when you come back, bring a friend, because I would like to get this up to about at least 1,000 while we're live. And it shouldn't be that hard because we just crossed 150,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for that. And so 1,000 during the live stream, I think would be amazing. You would see the chat just blowing by. It'd be really cool. And if you ever, and it can be done because the people who live stream the game playing, I mean, sometimes they get 10, 20, 30,000 people watching at once. And I mean, if you watch the chat on there, it scrolls by so fast, it would just blow you away. So it'd be really neat. And so that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. Let me bring Mika back up here. And someone had a good idea to make a t-shirt with Mika's face, but maybe at least we should make a mug. I'm behind on making new mugs, and I want to make another new mug, so maybe we should make one with Mika's picture on there. We got to get some cool pictures. All right, guys, thank you so much. We love you. God bless you, and good night.